Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the El Toro's podcast, exclusively now on Anchor.fm. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on things like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also make money from your podcast, which is always a plus, with no minimum listenership. And it's everything you need to make a podcast right at your fingertips and in one place. I can't believe it took me this long to switch over to Anchor.fm, but I couldn't be happier now. So, get yourself started and download the free Anchor app now, or go to Anchor.fm to get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to another special edition of El Toro's podcast on the El Toro Podcast Network, exclusively on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. And guess what? I am your host, El Toro. You know what? It's great to be back, guys. Lots of things are happening. For those of you who've been asking, where the hell have I been? Well, if you've been following my social media, you've probably seen a video of me on Instagram that Baby 2 was on the way. And I needed to be on high alert. So I am very, very happy to report that I am a father of a brand new baby daughter born on May 1st. I'm very, very happy to be a daddy again. My wife and I are super, super excited. And my son is in love with her. So that's what's been going on, guys. Yes, I am tired. My wife is tired. We're both tired, but we're very, very happy. And I think it's very, very different when you have a second child, especially of another gender. It's like it's almost like, how do I put it? Okay, you study for an exam that is supposed to have just 10 questions, and when you get the exam, you realize the professor added 10 more, and you're like, what the fuck? So it's definitely a relearning process, but I'm loving it. I really love holding my daughter. Um, she she she's just a beautiful little angel. I love swaddling her. Um, for those of you who are like, what the hell that is, what the hell is swaddling? I suggest Googling it so you guys can see what I mean. And I love watching my son just be so interested in her and smiling. I mean, he goes out of his way of seeing, I want to see my little sister. Where's my baby sister? If she's in her crib and she's crying, he will drop what he's doing. He'll go to the crib and make sure she's okay. And this is my favorite. I mean, he will specifically look for hand sanitizer or a sink to wash his hands with soap and water just so he can hold her. And that, guys, is like that's heaven. And it gives me the the nice bubbly warm bubblies inside me, and it's just amazing. And I really hope that that love continues for the many, many years to come. All right, you also know, guys, that I've partnered up with Capital Wrestling in hosting the Capital Wrestling podcast on the ETP network, the El Toro's Podcast Network. Just a friendly reminder, go check them out on Facebook for their upcoming events. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, subscribe to their YouTube channel. And of course, it goes without saying, once you subscribe to the El Toros podcast on iTunes and on Google Play, it'll automatically download to your device. And if you have SoundCloud on your device and you subscribe to the El Toro's podcast, you'll also get the notification of a brand new podcast. And the every Wednesday, the Capital Wrestling podcast is released at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, short of any technical difficulties. So if you've subscribed, you'll be able to get to hear Capital Wrestling Podcast live. And you know what? It's about great wrestling. You get excellent interviews, exclusive interviews. You know what? This is just classic wrestling for the modern fans. This really just isn't a line. It is the flat out truth. Classic wrestling for the modern fans. And that's what we're talking about. Just pure wrestling. And it really is professionally wrestling at its finest. You guys know that I continue to support professional wrestling, especially independent professional wrestling, as best as I can. That's what this podcast is about. It's my venue to be able to do that, and I feel like I want to give back to the wrestling community in voicing what I think should be recognized: independent professional wrestling, the indie circuits. Because without the independent wrestling scenes, you wouldn't have guys like CM Punk, you wouldn't have guys like Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, Christopher Daniels, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whichever way you want, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Um, it's really hard to believe that 1 year ago I started this podcasting, not knowing how far it will actually go. And right now, it has reached a point where I never thought this was going to be ever possible. So I want to take this opportunity and just say how grateful I am to a lot of the people that has inspired me to get to where I am right now, 1 year later. The first person I want to thank right off the bat, it's Colt Cabana. Okay, he's taken time and time again from his busy schedule with the Art of Wrestling podcast. Excuse me, and of course his hectic road schedule now with Ring of Honor and the other independent wrestling industries. Um, just to respond to my emails, giving me pointers here and there, what he does and how he gets things to work the way they do, his suggestions, and pointing me in the right direction of actually being able to do this. So, right off the bat, thanks again to Colt Cabana. Follow his podcast, the Art of Wrestling podcast. Um, it's a great freaking show, man. There's nothing like it out there, honestly. I also want to thank the authentic Brandon Lewis. He's been a friend of mine for many, many, many years. Who invited me to my very first independent show in Queens, New York, at the Elks Lodge for Jersey Championship Wrestling, JCW, now known as Game Changer Wrestling, GCW. Um, uh, he he and I were friends, and I just never really knew how involved with wrestling he really was until he told me, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. And the first time I went to the JCW event, I basically fell in love with independent wrestling. And I never realized just how ignorant I really was about the independent scene. And that got me hooked with JCW, and which is leading up to the next person who I'm really grateful and thankful for. Ricky Utazu, he was the former owner of JCW, now GCW. And shouts out to him because you know what? He always made me feel like $1,000,000 at all of the shows that I was able to attend. He took the time to talk to me, and he's just that kind of guy. And he made me love the business a hell of a lot more than what I already do now. So thank you, Ricky. I miss you like crazy. I hope everything is going really well for you in Tennessee. Yeah, I hope to get to see you again soon, man, because maybe even do a podcast with you, bro. And just a hint, 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 nudge, nudge, man. I also want to thank another friend of mine. He's the cold-hearted player, Danny DeMonto. He's one of the new owners of GCW. He also took very good care of me every event that I've been to at GCW, and he was always checking up on me. If there was something wrong with if there was something that I felt was wrong, I could go to him, I could talk to him about it, and he would do whatever he could to get it fixed, which was amazing. And really, he really didn't have to do that, and that meant a lot to me. That he went out of his way to make me feel like $1 million. Um, my God, there's so many people that I really want to. He really made me feel like part of the wrestling family. The other person who made me feel like part of the wrestling family was AJ Orsini. I first met him at the JCW event at Six Flags, and from there, starting uh, um, a little bit of a friendship when I started going to the 2KW Pro Wrestling events, which I also had so much fun and loved. To this day, I still love. And having met AJ Orsini was thanks to the authentic Brandon Lewis, who, thanks to him, comes this next person who I've met and I'm very, very close with. You guys heard him on my podcast. He was the first person to be brought onto the show to be interviewed. It was the gentleman by the name of Matt Ryan Shapiro. So thanks to Brandon, I have been able to develop such a great relationship with Matt, and I've learned to love this sport even more because of these people. I also wanted to give a shout out to Bandido Jr. He is currently a ref working with WWE's NXT. Now, I'm not going to tell you his name, but if you're following me on Instagram, if you're following me on Twitter, you will probably know who I'm talking about because I have tagged him in a couple of the pictures that I have posted up. And the way I've actually met Bandito Jr. is like it was my very first JCW event at the Elks Lock in Queens, and it was the Extreme Championship match. Um, and he came right up to me. I was at ringside. Uh, asked for my phone so he can get a selfie of himself and one of his opponents, who's also getting a shout out as well, the selfie superstar, Too Hot Steve Scott. And I was also there for another one of his matches at the JCW event where he turned heel, which was probably the coolest thing I had ever seen live. And right after the show, I saw him. I shook his hand, I gave him a hug, and basically told him that that was pretty awesome. And Bandito Jr., just want to tell you, I am very, very proud of you, as are all of us. You're doing great, and I really hope that you are having a great, great time, my friend. I hope to get to see you again soon. The next person who gets a shout out is Too Hot Steve Scott. He's always been really kind. He has been a very, very good friend. I really never knew just how much of a true friend he was until I asked him to help me out with something specific. That I'm going to leave it at that. But he took time to help me with something specific, and I that's something I will never ever forget. And I have a lot of love for this guy, and I hope I get to see him again soon because I want to give this guy a big hug and thank him again for everything that he's done. Not just for me, but for his fans. I mean, his fans love him, and he has such charisma. He has such talent, and he's just amazing. I suggest you guys Google him, Too Hot Steve Scott, and just check him out. Follow him. I mean, you're not going to be disappointed. Another guy who I met Jeff Cannonball he truly is an amazing human being who will give you his shirt off of his back to help you out if you really needed the help. I had posted on my Facebook account a while ago, a long time ago, about guys, I need a little bit of help. Anything you can help me out with, I would appreciate it. It was pretty much something was wrong with my mom's phone, and I couldn't afford to buy her a new one. I was unemployed, but and I she needed a cell phone so I can be able to keep in touch with her, and she can keep in touch with us in case anything happened. And I was asking, listen, whatever Android phone that you have that is just picking up dust in your drawer, I truly, truly appreciate it. I'll work something out with you, and not expecting him to respond. I was expecting some of the people who I've used to work with in the past, some of the tech people that I've worked with. He sent me a private message and offered a phone to me, and that to me was incredible. He didn't want anything in return. He just wanted to help me out, and for that I will always be forever grateful. And I realized just how much of an amazing human being he truly is. Uh, he can kick your ass in a heartbeat, and he's he's a tough son of a bitch in the ring, man. I would not want to mess with him. So shouts out to Jeff Cannonball, my friend. I hope to get to see you again soon. Um, the other, I also want to thank God. I mean, most of you probably already know by now. I'm not full blown out religious, but I do believe in God and I do believe in the Lord Almighty. And at this point, I want to just take this opportunity to thank God for allowing me to actually have the opportunities that I've had so far. And I pray to Him that I will be allowed to continue to have more of these moments. Okay. I also want to thank all of my close friends for supporting me in this journey and actually believing me when I didn't believe that I can actually do this myself. Um, the biggest thank you that I want to give, though, is like the most important person right now in my life, besides my kids, obviously. I bet they're too young to actually understand what daddy's doing besides of working. I want to thank my wife because she has not only been my biggest supporter, she has been my biggest inspiration, and most importantly, she has been my biggest fan. Um, so to my wife, thank you so, so much, honey, and I love you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. This year has just been so freaking off the chain, man, and I hope to continue bringing you more wrestling, more interviews, more podcasts from Capital Wrestling. And you know what? More fun years for more years to come, man. That's what the goal is for this. So this brings me down to, hey, this is a brand new year on a podcast and more things to talk about. So you guys are aware that I actually have been maintaining three blogs: my technology blog, my bullshit rant blog, and a wrestling blog. I have taken the wrestling blog off of a paid service and just moved it over to a free service because for the amount of stuff that I'm actually doing on it now, um, I'm really wasting money on having it hosted when I can just use a free service like WordPress to host it up online for free. And now that I have this venue, this podcast, where I pretty much talk to you about wrestling, about technology, and about the random thoughts in my head and the bullshit that just happens on a day to day basis, there's really no sense for me to actually maintain two blogs that haven't been updated for the past year and change. That being said, um, as of next week, at some point next week, the technology blog and the bullshit rant blog will be taken down. But of course, never fear. I'm going to be here to continue providing you with any tech tips uh, or the random bullshit that goes through my head on a day-to-day basis, possibly. So that's still happening here on the podcast. So no worries about that. Um, the main source of where you can actually be able to see a lot of the stuff and hear a lot of the stuff is obviously going to be on my Facebook page, the original El Toro. on my Twitter account, on the podcast, Instagram. Maybe one day I'll open up a YouTube channel. I'm not holding my breath on that because that's a lot of work to maintain, and I just don't have the fucking time for it. But that's what's going on with that. That brings me to this next one. I have been working very, very closely with a very dear friend of mine, whom I miss very dearly, and I'm looking to redoing some of the logos. So pretty soon you're going to be seeing a brand new El Toro logo. So I don't want to spoil it too much on what it could possibly look like, but things are looking good. So I'm expecting something to happen maybe within the next week or so. So I want to give a shout out to my girlfriend, Denise, for all the amazing work that she's been doing and helping me out with this. And I really, really appreciate it. And I miss you truly with all my heart. Sucks that you're no longer in New York, but at least I know that you're still in the States and we can still keep in touch. And the last thing I want to actually bring up, just to put this to a close, is you guys know my love of supporting the artists. So tonight, my good friend Victoria Watts is in town. She's in New York, guys. And you've heard her songs on the podcast. If you don't remember, just go to SoundCloud, scroll all the way down. It's in the earlier podcast and go check it out. So Victoria Watts is going to be performing live tonight at the Long Beach Inn from 11 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. So go check her out live for some awesome music, some great entertainment, some dancing, the whole 9 yards. So for those of you who want the address to go there and you want to pop it into your GPS, this is the exact address. It's 943 W Beach Street. So that's 943 West Beach Street in Long Beach, New York. Just pop that in and it should automatically show up. You can also Google it so you can actually get a zip code if you need to. Or you can actually call their number at 516 432 9220. And if you do happen to go over there, you do get to meet her, just go up, say El Toro sent you, and he says hi. Guys and gals, I just want to let you know this is it for me for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for this full 1 year, all the love and support and the follows that you've given to me. It's truly, truly appreciated, and I hope that I can continue giving you what you deserve for more of the years to come. And we've only gotten started. So that's it for me tonight. I'm signing off for now, but I'm going to leave you with this one clip. I have been so into one of my favorite bands lately, the Chainsmokers, and I freaking love them. I really wish I could actually go see them in concert. It's not in the cards, but I want you guys to check them out on SoundCloud. They have a couple of clips here and there of some of their songs. And the one that I'm going to leave you with, it's a little clip. It's nothing too big, but it is a combination of the Chainsmokers with Tiesto, and the name of the song is Split Only You. Check it out, guys. Love you. Be safe.